There are fresh rumours that Alex Kurtzman is going to be out of Secret Hideout because that's the only way to save Secret Hideout. And as a side note, save Star Trek in the process. But why are these rumours bouncing around the internet once again? Because we've heard this before, several times. Welcome to the Tachyon Pulse podcast, part of the Scitrek family.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
We've actually been reporting over on our sister station, over on our sister channel, Scitrek, that Alex Kurtzman's job was at risk for quite some time. We actually exclusively found out that Skydance were actually doing a report on all of its biggest franchises as it slowly takes over at Paramount. Now, it's not expected that the full sale will go through till the summer and actually be finalised by the regulatory bodies, etc. in the United States. And I find it coincidental that reports that are, again, bouncing around the internet at the moment are stating that Alex Kurtzman has been given basically an ultimatum by the board over at Secret Hideout to be gone by July 2025, around the time the Skydance actually take over. So, why is this rumour bouncing around this time? What has he done that has annoyed the bosses over at Paramount and therefore scared his colleagues over at Skydance? Well, apparently there's been a steady decline in Star Trek-related merchandise sales, and that has now got to a point where it's intolerable for Paramount. That's a good word. I'm going to stick with it. Their intolerability, not a word, has really now reached a boiling point. We've been reporting, as I say, over on Scitrek for quite some time that there is a really toxicity within the fan base, a divided fan base. There are a lot of people that really love new Trek, that really love what Alex Kurtzman and his team has done with Trek. Personally, I love Lower Decks. I adore it. And I have a love-hate relationship with Strange New Worlds. I love an episode, I hate an episode. I love an episode, I hate an episode. And that seems to be, it's like the movies. It's like the movies. Love a movie, hate a movie. It's really like that with Strange New Worlds. I really like Prodigy. Mostly hated Discovery, even though some of it was okay. And yeah, I'm not a massive fan of new Trek, let's put it that way. So we've been hearing that there's a lot of work being put in to the new Trek to sort of steer it back towards what us Trekkies would love. Picard Season 3 is the perfect example of throwing in something that us hardcore Trekkies from back 30 years ago would recognise as Star Trek. A lot of what else we're seeing, we don't. Now, there is a business model within the Star Trek, over at Secret Hideout, that their basic idea is that they want to create a Star Trek for every kind of demographic. They're trying to do a bloody sitcom, for God's sake, which just shows it. But they have, the kids show in Prodigy. They have the comedy animated show, like people that like Family Guy and stuff. They have Discovery, which is supposed to be for the younger audience. And then we had Picard, that was supposed to be for us older Trekkies. The problem is that causes a real big divide within the fan base, because we will watch Discovery, it's not really made for us, and we don't like it. And, maybe the kids would watch Discovery and they don't like, you know what I mean? It causes a division. Now, that has annoyed a lot of people over at Paramount, and that going back 2 or 3 years, there were big voices over at Paramount saying, we need to get rid of this guy. We need to move completely in a new direction. HBO and Warner Brothers were planning on buying Paramount back before they realised they've got no money. And they were actually putting forwards a plan where they would buy Secret Hideout, pay Alex Kurtzman off, create Star Trek Studios, and take Star Trek into a completely different direction. But obviously that didn't happen. So where are we at now? What is Skydance saying? Well, what we're being told is Skydance has been advised by a committee basically put together to have a look at all of the major franchises and report back to Skydance that it may be more cost effective in the short term to give Secret Hideout a short extension to their current contract, which would end in sort of around mid-2027, but actually starts to run out in mid-2026, in August 2026. Basically, from then, they're in the final year of their contract. They're not allowed to actually start anything new at that point, and there's a lot of rules about what they can and can't do. At the moment, they have relative free reign in what they can greenlight or not. But from August 2026, that changes. It's really from that point that Paramount can start moving towards a long-term plan. Now, what we're being told is basically that it's most likely that they would negotiate a very quick short-term deal because they just don't have time once they're, in their seats, Skydance actually take over Paramount, to negotiate a new deal or come up with a new plan for Star Trek. It's more likely they will just kick the can down the road for a couple of years and give them maybe a 2-year extension or something, or just give them contracts for specific shows like Strange New Worlds and allow that to finish and things like that. Where does this fresh rumour sit in with that? We have heard repeatedly from sources that are relatively close to Skydance that their main issue with Secret Hideout is not necessarily Secret Hideout as a whole. They like Roddenberry Entertainment, etc., for example. It's with Kurtzman. They look at the bigger problems within the general plan for Star Trek and how Star Trek has been handled, and they look at Kurtzman. For me, the perfect example is Discovery Season 1, which was heavily influenced by the J.J. Abrams Star Treks in style in particular. That was definitely Kurtzman doing that, because obviously he wrote and worked on a couple of the J.J. Abrams movies. It was his vision that really led the way with those movies, so of course he brought it into the TV shows. So there is a lot of blame. Also, apparently, Alex Kurtzman is a massive child, if you believe some of the rumours. He has actually, apparently, stood in the way of Star Trek Legacy purposefully because he wanted Star Trek Academy. Now, if you listen to the fans, and not just listen to the fans, but actually look at this as a business, there is no logical sense for them to push forwards with Star Trek Academy before Star Trek Legacy. Picard has been the most popular Star Trek season currently out of all of the new Treks. It got top of the Nielsen ratings, it got critically acclaimed, fans loved it. Far more than they've loved anything else that New Trek has done. So why are we pushing forwards with Academy and not Legacy? The rumours are it's Kurtzman that's decided to do that. And Skydance look at that and think, what the hell is he doing? So how does Secret Hideout negotiate with Skydance, who don't like Kurtzman, and try to get a new long-term deal? You convince Kurtzman to leave. Now, remembering Skydance is basically his company, but there are investors, there is a board, there are people that can trigger different methods basically to push him out. And it looks like as the rumours grow, and we all know that saying there's no smoke without fire, at some point in the next 6 months, we may get an announcement that Alex Kurtzman is leaving. And it won't be the way that maybe Warner Brothers would have done it, i.e. buying him out. They were apparently actually going to offer him a couple of movie deals as well to sweeten it, to try and really get him out the door quickly. It may be basically a coup d'etat internally as the company turn against him for their own long-term survival. What do you think, though? Get into the comments and tell me, is the future of Star Trek really dependent on Kurtzman getting the hell out of there? We do know that many of the decisions fans have generally hated have come from him. So, what is the future of Star Trek? And is that future Kurtzman free? Get into the comments and tell me. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/scitrek, where most of the videos from the Tachyon Pulse and from Scitrek do appear first. And you get to see them without the adverts. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.